the recipe for the delicious Badam Burfi just for you guys. I have 1 cup of almonds soaked in hot water for 1 hour, and now I'm going to remove the skin. The skin is going to peel off very easily. And now I'm going to pat dry these almonds. Make sure they're completely dry. So on a kitchen napkin, I'm going to spread these almonds and dry them out. Just fold the napkin and pat dry them properly. The almonds have dried completely, and now I'm going to grind them into a fine powder in the mixie. So let's add them. Give it a light stir. Make sure the oil from the almonds doesn't ooze out. And the last time. Feel it between your fingers, and if you don't find any granules, that means it's done. I think this is ready. Next, I'm going to soak some saffron strands in milk. For that, I have 2 tablespoons of milk and 1/4 teaspoon of saffron strands. Let it soak for 5 minutes. Next, let's get cooking. I have 3/4 cup sugar here. Use a thick bottom non-stick to make this recipe. Add 1/2 cup of water. Turn on the flame. Keep stirring till the sugar dissolves. Let the sugar syrup come to a boil. The sugar syrup has to boil till you get a single thread consistency like this. That means the sugar syrup is ready. And this is ready. And now I'm going to add the almond mix. Mix it well with the sugar syrup. It's now time to add the saffron infused milk. Keep stirring for a minute. And now at the end, I'm going to add a teaspoon of ghee and 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder. Mix it well. Once you feel the almond mixture has stopped sticking to the pan, turn off the flame. Get it off the flame and remove it immediately in a greased tin or a plate that you're going to mold it in. Make sure you're a little quick in doing this. Remove the mixture from the hot pan immediately after you're done. I've greased the back of a steel bowl with ghee, and now with the help of the steel bowl, just spread it onto the tray. Smoothen it out properly, and now I'm going to garnish it with some almond flakes. Dab them down so that they stick. Before the burfi cools down completely, I'm going to cut it into pieces. Clean the edges first. Let's make the squares. Let the burfi set at least for half an hour before you remove the pieces, and then they are ready to bite in. Take an upside down steel plate and flip it over. Unmold it. Flip it once again using another plate. The almond burfi looks perfectly set. I can't wait to cut out the pieces.
Today I have for you an ancient recipe from the temple kitchens of the famous Udupi Krishna temple in South India. Ashgod Halwa is popularly known as Kashi Halwa down south and is one of my personal favorites. Allow me to treat you to this heavenly delight. The first thing I'm going to do is soak a few strands of saffron in some water. I have about 1/8 of a teaspoon of saffron and I'm going to put in a tablespoon of hot water. Let us keep this aside for a bit and move on with preparing the halwa. This is about 3 cups of finely grated ashgod and I'm going to put it into the pan along with its juices. I'm going to turn on the heat. I'm going to cook this on low heat until the water evaporates. This should take about 5 minutes, but you need to keep stirring this or else the delicate gourd will get burnt. The water from the gourd has reduced and now is the time to add in the sugar. I'm going to put in about 1.5 cups of sugar. Raise the heat a little and cook until the sugar melts. I'm going to crush the saffron to extract its vibrant hue. And then I'm going to put in the beautiful saffron mixture into the pan. Look at how beautifully the saffron has colored the ashgod. The sugar is melted and I'm going to turn down the heat and cook until the mixture is a little dry. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to melt some ghee. I'm going to put in about 1/3 of a cup, about 60 grams of ghee into this pan. Once the ghee melts, I'm going to put in about 8 to 10 cashews that have been halved. And once the cashews turn a nice golden brown in color, I'm going to put in a tablespoon of raisins. And after the raisins plump up, I'm going to turn off the heat. The halwa has cooked nicely and now is the time to add in the ghee along with the dry fruits. I'm going to stir this again and allow this to cook until the halwa begins to leave the sides of the pan. This is almost done and the last thing to do is stir in some fragrant cardamom powder made from the seeds of 4 cardamom pods. Mix it up well and turn off the heat. This divine halwa is literally heaven in a bowl. I hope you will make this experience the joys of this traditional temple dish.
The Festival of Lights comes knocking on your door once again, and it's time to celebrate, be happy, eat loads of good food. And on this auspicious occasion, I'm going to treat you guys to some melt in the mouth Kalakand. I'm going to start with heating 1 liter of full fat milk. You have to boil this milk till it reduces to half quantity, and that will take a while, so around 10 minutes. The milk is reduced to half now, and I'm going to use a pinch of alum powder to get a nice granule texture. So just a pinch, and keep stirring. You can start seeing these small granules that are happening. Make sure you keep scraping the edges. After cooking it for 2 minutes, I'm going to add some grated paneer. After adding the paneer, cook it for a minute, and then I'm going to add sugar, around 8 tablespoons of sugar, the sugar is going to melt and ooze out a little bit of water, so make sure you cook it through till the water evaporates. The water is nicely evaporated, and now I'm going to turn off the flame and add some cardamom powder. Stir it in. And this Kalakand is ready to set. You can take a greased tray and spread the Kalakand in it and let it set for at least 2 hours, and then cut the pieces and serve. But what I'm going to do is, I have these beautiful small bowls. In that I'm going to set them so that it looks cute while presenting it. Instead of cutting pieces, just serve a single bowl to a guest and they can enjoy it. I'm going to fill it in these bowls and set them. If you don't have glass bowls, you can always fill it in those disposable cups. You get amazing different shapes, so you can just use them. Garnish with a few almond and pistachio flakes and let them set for 2 hours. With this, I wish you a very happy Diwali, and may your lives be filled with a lot of sweetness, warmth and joy.
Sweets, chocolates, desserts are amazing comfort food. Yes, we do go on a guilt trip when we usually eat them, but what the hell, once in a blue moon it's good to have sweets. Today what we are going to do is a classic recipe from Rajasthan, which is usually cooked in the winters to keep your body warm. A little effort is required to make this dish, but the outcome is amazing. So come on, let's cook the Moong Dal Halwa. To begin with, I'm going to heat ghee in a pan. And once this ghee has melted, I'm going to add moong dal, which I have soaked for about 4 to 5 hours, and I've ground it to a slightly coarse paste. We have to go on sauteing it till it becomes nice and golden. It will first be pasty, then it will get a little lumpy, and then it will disintegrate. That's the time when we know that our moong dal has been sauteed well. As you can see, our moong dal has been sauteed nice and golden. To this I'm going to add some sugar and some cardamom powder. I'm going to stir this really well, mix the sugar the moong dal and the cardamom. You know, a freshly ground cardamom gives a very different fresh flavor to the dish and the aroma is tantalizing. While this moong dal is being sauteed, I have put 1 cup of water and 1 cup of milk to boil, which I'm going to add to this. I've infused some saffron in warm milk, which I'm going to add to my halwa now. Look at the color it gives off, amazing. Now that you've put the saffron with the milk, just cover it and cook it for about 20 minutes and it should be done. Let's check the halwa. Wow, this just looks gorgeous, just the way I'd imagined it. You know, this has been one of my favorite dishes too when it comes to dessert. Whenever I go to a Gujarati thali restaurant, I do make it a point to eat 2 or 3 helpings of this. And I'm going to eat loads of this today. The moong dal halwa looks delicious and it's smelling awesome. While I'm going to dig into this halwa, I want you to try this recipe at your home and give me your feedback in the comments below. Bye.
Traditional Indian recipe called Malpua. I have half a liter of full-fat milk and I'm going to keep it to boil till it reduces to half the quantity. Keep stirring on this, otherwise the milk is going to start sticking to the bottom. The milk is reduced to half the quantity and now I'm going to remove it in a bowl and let it cool down completely. While the milk is cooling down, I'm going to quickly make the sugar syrup. For that I have a cup of sugar and I'm also going to add 1 cup of water and I'm going to put this to boil. Keep stirring on this till the sugar crystals dissolve. Basically, I want a 1-thread consistency syrup. You can see a small thread being formed. After you turn off the flame, add 1 teaspoon of cardamom powder and a few strands of saffron. Stir it in the sugar syrup and let it cool down a little bit. The milk is completely cooled down and now I'm going to add half a cup of plain flour and whisk it properly. Make sure there are no lumps. Once the batter becomes very thick, you can add a little bit of milk as well. So I've added almost half a cup of extra milk. Also, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. And I think it needs a little more milk. This is the consistency of the batter that I need. It should be a nice pouring consistency batter. Traditionally, the malpuas are deep fried in ghee, but I'm going to just use a little bit and make them like pancakes. Heat a tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter. Just before making the malpuas, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Now I'm going to drop just a spoonful of batter into the ghee. Make sure you cook them on low heat and the ghee also doesn't have to be very hot. Let's flip them over. They're very delicate, so be a little careful. Perfect. Let's get them out and dip them in the sugar syrup while they are hot, so that they absorb the sugar syrup. You can also serve the malpuas with sweet thickened milk that is rabdi and it tastes extremely good with that too. I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of pistachio flakes and some almond flakes.
Hi, welcome to Beat Batter Bake with me Priyanka. Diwali is here and it's time to make some Indian desserts. As I mentioned before, making desserts at home is my responsibility. So today we're going to make this rich, delicious, classic Mawa Cake. So for this we require 80 grams of regular flour and I'm going to add half teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Give it a stir. Next, we move to our wet ingredients. Here we need 100 grams of condensed milk. To this, I'm going to add 80 ml of melted butter. And give it a stir. Alright, now we add 50 ml of milk. And just whisk it. Now it's time to mix our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients. Next, we're gonna add half cup khoya. So basically, I have just grated it and you get it like this, a little crumbled one. I'm gonna add this. I'm just gonna fold it in. And to add that little festive flavor, I'm gonna add a pinch of cardamom powder. If you like more, well, you can add more. And we are done with our mixing. It's time to spoon them in individual molds. I'm using these small individual oval molds which I have lightly buttered. Now this will go for baking at 175 degrees Celsius for 25 minutes. While the cake is getting baked, we're going to make a simple milk syrup. For this, I have used half cup of regular milk and I'm going to put it for a little boil. I have here 1 tablespoon of regular sugar. I'm going to get it to a gentle boil till the sugar melts. Now I'm going to pour a little of this milk in another bowl. I have some Kesar, which is saffron strands, in this bowl. Now I'm just going to mix it a little till it gives a nice yellow color and beautiful fragrance. And I'm going to add it back to the milk. And look at the way it changes its color. Now let this boil for another 5 minutes. And our cakes are ready! Okay, it's quite hot. And I'm gonna wait for another 10 minutes for it to cool down a bit. So our cakes have cooled down and it's time to demold. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to poke it a little. Now I'm going to pour the milk and saffron syrup on top of it. Wow. Alright. And I'm going to add badam and some pistachio. There, our Mawa cake is ready. Don't you want to make it? Well, you have to make it this Diwali. Well, if you do like the video, do hit like, mention in the comments below and subscribe to the channel. Last but not the least, Happy Diwali!
the time of lights, celebration and loads of happiness, Diwali is a festival that is close to every Indian heart. And no Indian festivity is really complete without that little sweet gastronomic pleasure. Sometimes I call it the fusion feast or chilled Kesar Pedha. You can call it anything you like. The best part is to make it and have it. So the first thing you need to do to make this is boiling a liter of milk. This is full fat milk. Bring the milk to a complete boil and keep stirring on it so that it doesn't stick. And I'm going to reduce this milk to almost half quantity. The milk is boiling since 5 to 6 minutes and now I'm going to add some saffron strands. Scrape out all the cream from the sides. I'm going to add some milk masala powder. It's basically ground pistachios, almond, cardamom and saffron. You even get it ready-made or you can even just make it at home. Just grind everything together. And now I'm going to add the sugar. You can see the milk is reduced to half the quantity. At that time only add the sugar. While the milk is still reducing, I'm going to soak some gelatin. I've just taken 2 tablespoons of water. If you don't want to use gelatin, you can always use agar-agar or even the China grass that we get. The milk is reduced to half and now I'm going to add the soaked gelatin and boil it for just a minute and switch off the flame. Let it cool down for 10 to 15 minutes. Fill half of your serving glasses with this milk mixture. And now I'm going to put them in the freezer for 20 minutes to set. I'm going to mix some cream, honey, cashew nuts, raisins, chocolates. Do subscribe to Rajshri Food and happy Diwali.